So good evening, one and all. It's a pleasure to gather here once again for the launch of Sabira Merchants A Full Life. And what a life, I must say! It's really a unputdownable whatever I've read. And on behalf of Crossroad Bookstores and JECO, I would really like to welcome one and all present and viewing this event and in near future. So let me introduce JECO. JECO as a publisher which has published Sabira Merchants A Full Life was established in 1946, and it's a home to world transforming authors such as Osho, Dalai Lama, Robin Sharma, Eknath Ishwaran, and many such stalwarts. And we are glad the book of Sabira Merchant would be getting added in this list of JECO's publishing. And apart from it, JECO has a translations of English languages into 9 regional languages. And on behalf of Crossword Bookstores, I really take the pleasure of again welcoming one and all. And Crossword is the biggest chain of bookstores present across Pan India through its 25 cities and 72 stores now. And I'm glad to inform in this week we have opened 2 stores, one in Cunningham city, one in Bangalore in Cunningham at Executive Chambers, and the second one at Sarat city in Hyderabad. So, Crossword is a place where people gravitate to educate, entertain, and enlighten. And the name embodies the vision of Crossword as a place and space for people who seek information, knowledge, or just the pleasure of reading. So, I would really like to again, have a great evening for this book, and I would like to say something about the book. As I said, it's an unputdownable. Apart from it, as Sabira Merchant, as everyone calls her, by love, Sabi. And apart from it, she has also been instrumental in getting, the beauty pageants like Miss World, Miss Universe in the form of Lara Datta and Priyanka Chopra. So her training in Europe was very instrumental. While you read the book, you would really understand. And for her, most important is relationships. As she has mentioned while and again, kindness of strangers in a book. So without not taking much time, I would now like to request Siddharth Sarkar on with the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harshal. Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Siddharth Sarkar, and I welcome you all to this wonderful and much awaited launch of the book A Full Life. The author, certified in liberal arts from Switzerland, is a supreme actor, and she is also known as the diction expert of India, a big food enthusiast. She is the go to person for many due to her incredible taste in fashion and haute couture international brands. She is very well known in the corporate world for her etiquette and fine dining workshops. She is also very much loved in the page 3 social circles for the lovely soirees that she hosts. To tell you more about this story, about the versatile and charismatic life, I give now to you the lady herself, Sabira Merchant.
Thank you very much, Siddharth, for those warm words of welcome. My dear family and friends, it's an immense pleasure to have all of you here with me on this wonderful occasion. We've been waiting for this day for quite some time now, and I wish to thank Mitali Parekh for patiently working word by word towards making this book a success. This book is special, not just because it is an account of my life, but because it celebrates each and every person that I've met on this wonderful journey. Today, I miss my husband Chodu the most. I am where I am only because of him, and thank him for looking over me from above. I also thank my children, Ali, darling Hina, and Salim, for giving me the joys of motherhood. I love you for giving me the strength to carry on. Alec and Lara have been very kind to contribute towards this book, and a very special thanks to Ryle absolutely wonderful for putting this evening together. This would not have been possible without her help, I assure you. Thanks from the heart to Siddharth, my assistant who goes beyond his duties, and to Misha Bhatt, the intrepid organizer. Thank you very much to Roger, my oldest friend who has known me since childhood, for being here with me this evening. And a big shout out to Reena, Akash, the entire Jericho team for believing in this story and for helping me spread the love and warmth of this world. Thank you for being such fantastic support. Thanks to Harshil and the Crossword bookstores for all their cooperation. Lastly, I reserve my greatest gratitude for the Lord who has given me this wonderful opportunity to lead a full life. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to launch the book.
Okay, here we go. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Sabira.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you so
Sabi.
much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, darling.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you for that. Well, Sabira Merchant's life has been shaped by many wonderful people, and they are really accomplished personalities. This book is actually a gratitude towards all of them. A couple of names, however, keep coming up right from the start toward till the end, and that's Pearl and Alec Padamsee. They are not friends, they are my family. And if I look up to anyone for inspiration, it is the Padamsee power couple. Today, their daughter Rel Padamsee is carrying their parents' legacy forward. And how? She is the most successful directors and producers of Indian theatre. Dynamic, vibrant, versatile. Her company Ace Productions designs and produces mega events too. Rael is also the managing trustee of the Create Foundation that believes in an inclusive world where every child and young adult, irrespective of the challenges and economic background, has access to equal opportunity to become productive members of the society. Sabira Merchant has been an integral part of this Create Foundation. In fact, Royal considers Sabira Merchant her. It's a great pleasure to have Rael Padamsi with us today, and I now invite her to share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. Thank you. Sabira, it's so wonderful to be here, really.
Thank you.
And we're
So
all
wonderful to
so,
have you, darling. So wonderful to have you with
I
me.
know, and all our lovely panelists and Roger and our guests and everybody from all over the world. I have people tuning in from America as well, just to hear you. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I spent much of my growing up years in Sabi and Chotu's home at Darshan Apartments because my mother would take me there all the time. And they both were such role models for me whilst I was growing up, and even frankly, till today. So, I must share with you an amazing anecdote which involves my dearest other mother, Sabira. So we were celebrating my real mother, Pearl's work in the theatre on her anniversary on 23rd April 2010. And Sabira, having acted in almost all her productions, we said that she naturally had to be an integral part of the celebration. So we had to have Sabira in 7 different excerpts from Mummy's plays. And of course, she agreed to all of it. She said, I'm in London, darling, but I'm going to fly back and be with you at the celebration, etc., etc., etc. And then there was this huge volcanic ash eruption in 2010. I don't know how many of you all remember this. And it devastated the whole world, including the whole of Europe. I mean, all the airports had closed down. London, of course, was completely not operational at all. And so we were all stumped. We didn't know what to do because Sabi was the mainstay of the production. So, of course, I spoke to her, and the show was on the 23rd of April. So, knowing Sabira, come hell or high water, when she's committed to something, she really, really makes sure that she steps up to the plate. And somehow she managed to get back to Bombay on the 22nd of April. And we were having a technical rehearsal that evening at the NCPA, no less. This was the technical rehearsal. She came straight from her flight, got home, came to the NCPA dressed in her costume, all made up, with wig intact for that particular role that she was starting the play with, did her rehearsal from start to finish, all her changes of clothes, everything. The thorough professional knew all her lines while everybody else was fumbling and struggling along, and obviously not in perfect costumes at all. But Sabira, being Sabira, managed to really show us what true professionalism was all about. Having gone through that huge non-stop flight from London, all the trauma of traveling back in the middle of all this chaos, got back, got dressed, got into action, and made sure she was up there facing the spotlights. So kudos to you, Sabira. We've learned so much from you. You lead by example, and you are a true soul of the theatre. And I'd love you to tell us something about that mad trip of yours.
Well, thanks so much, Ryle, for all those wonderful words that you just said. I remember this very distinctly because we were in London, as you said, and flights were all locked down. We just couldn't get out. And just like me, there were hundreds of other people waiting to get back to Bombay. But I said, listen, this is a very important occasion. And I used a little bit of influence, which you can always do to push yourself forward. And they said, well, fine, if you're in the play and it's a big production and it's a lifetime thing, and all right, fine, we'll see that you're on the first flight. The first flight out was the one that Chotu and I both took. I'll never forget that. It was just wonderful how I
Right.
made it in time, and the whole that whole production trial was just unbelievable, wasn't it? It
It
was
was
just
amazing. It was
wonderful.
amazing.
Yes,
Really.
I can't
It took
forget
you
it.
all
Yeah,
all back to, yeah, it took you all back to
all
what you
that.
all actually started out with in the theater. Yeah, it was
Right, and the
lovely.
Serpent
Lovely,
and so
lovely.
many other plays. It was just wonderful.
Right. I'm sure
I know
so many
Roger.
people in our
Roger, you've seen it. Roger,
Yeah,
you saw that, didn't you?
that's right.
Yes, it was a wonderful occasion, wasn't it? And Ryle did an amazing job. Ryle does an
Right.
amazing job.
It's
Every
amazing
few she
always.
touches, really.
thank
And
you. Thank you. So, just to let you know that, of course, Mitali Parekh also co-wrote this wonderful book of Sabira's. Mitali Parekh is a writer, editor, and columnist based in Mumbai. She writes on popular culture, food, fashion, animal rights, and welfare. So much more. Her articles and columns have appeared in top newspapers and magazines such as Mumbai Mirror, Elle, Femina, and many others. Welcome, Mitali. It's so lovely to have you with us. Hey,
Hello.
hi.
hi,
Hi.
Lovely to
So
hi.
see
the
your
honor was,
face
of
to
course,
this.
completely mine to get such a front row view of Mrs. Merchant's life. I mean, how lucky can I get? And absolutely honored, an experience of a lifetime.
Amazing, amazing. So, Mitali, tell us,
Oh,
how difficult was it to connect to an era way before your time, which was so vibrant, alive, and exciting? It must have been just one of those once in a lifetime experiences.
Absolutely. Just trying to imagine Bombay as that fast paced, cosmopolitan, glamorous, extremely liberal city, which it was in the 70s and the 80s. And the treasure trove of pictures and newspaper cuttings Mrs. Merchant has. That was the fun part. That was my most fun part, to organize all that chaos. It was good fun.
and we had endless cups
Absolutely.
of
I think
coffee and chocolate.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
this book was made by Chocolate and Coffee.
absolutely. And
And I see
Sabira's
Roger
such a
having
stickler.
some.
She has pictures and newspaper cuttings and things of every single production she's been in, and actually every single event that she's even been part of. So you have a huge collection, Sabira, which we're all going to see in the book. The book's the thing.
Yes.
Lovely. So thank you so much, Mitali, and over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you very much for that, Ryle. Sabira Merchant has always held her relationships very close to her heart. One person whom she considers very warm, humble, and yet very fun loving is Roger C.B. Pereira. In the marketing and commerce circles, Roger is referred to as the advertising and PR guru, a profession he has pursued for almost 50 years now. Roger introduced self regulation and helped take Indian advertising to the world. Until 1986, he was very active on the Bombay theatre stage, being a part of several projects helmed by the Padamsees. He has also collaborated with the likes of Adi Marsban, Al Qazi, and Derek Jeffries. Since 2009, Roger is focused on giving back to the society. We are very happy to have him with us today, and I now invite Mr. Pereira to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you very much. Yes, Savvy describes herself as the proverbial Bandra girl, and I'm the proverbial Bandra boy. We go back, I think, to what, 1952? Uh, Sir Geoffrey Kendall was staging Shakespeare Walla in our school hall, and there was Savvy and all her schoolmates, and I think it was Sadiq Ali Khan who nudged me. And remember Sadiq, Savvy? And he
Yes,
nudged me and
yes.
said, "Hey, that's Sabira from Villa Wazir." Villa Wazir was one of those most iconic buildings in Bandra in those days, just like Manath is today and a couple of others. But Villa Wazir stood all by itself, just like Savia stood all iconic all these years. And then go back to 1964. I just returned from my first trip to the US, and I've got to thank Pearl and Alec for all their advice and recommendations. And then Alec says, "Hey, Raj, we've started dress rehearsals for Hamlet. Why don't you both, you and Flavia, come along and do bit roles? I've got bit roles available as the player king and queen." So we go, and there we meet the most unlikely person in charge of costumes. You, Sabira Merchant, yes, putting us through trials and diligently making notes. And oh gosh, Alec would have loved Sabira, because Alec always loved, remember, Pixie, make a note. We used to love that. Sabi, what you've left out in your book are those fab parties that Chotu and you hosted. Truly, you are a hostess who did the mostest for every party. And we remember that lovingly. I remember Bubbles would bring up, "Hey, Raj, are you coming for Sabi's party today? These are the best parties in town." And they truly were. Always have been. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you very much for that, Roger. Well, right now, I would request Rael Padamsi to read a short excerpt from the book. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is such a wonderful book. And when Sabira and I were talking, she was very keen that I read from the foreword, which is written by her dearest friend, Alec Padamsi, who also happens to be my father. So here goes. The foreword by Alec Padamsi. Sabira is a true drama queen. I first met her through my wife Pearl, whom she had approached for a role in the theatre. Sabira said, "Well, I have never acted, but I would like to act. I would be willing to do anything in the theatre." Now, that is something I love to hear. And I was impressed with her enthusiasm. Pearl took her under her wing to do the costumes for Hamlet. It was a play of formidable proportions. There must have been easily 100 costumes. I had no time to go backstage and be nice to people as I was trying to get the Shakespeare play off the ground. Pearl said, "Don't worry about anything, Alec. Sabira's in charge. She's well organized, very disciplined, and she makes lists." When I heard that, my heart leapt. I fell in love with her that moment because I'm the greatest list maker of all time. Sabby, as we called her, was very keen on talking to actors, making them feel at home, and seeing that every interval they got proper tea and biscuits and were really looked after. We finally came to a very, very challenging play, A Streetcar Named Desire, which I had always wanted to do. And I had seen the movie with Marlon Brando and Vivian Leigh, for which Leigh won the Academy Award. Pearl and I put our heads together and said, "Okay, there's only one person we can choose for Vivian Leigh's part, and that is Sabira Merchant." And for Marlon Brando's part, a young man had come to me from St. Paul's in Darjeeling. He was a well built guy called, you guessed it, Dalit Tahil. Sabira and I sat down to tackle these roles. It called for the leading actress to have a Southern American drawl, not too much, but enough to give that effete old world charm. One of the great lines in the play, which I quote very often, and so does Sabira, is I have always relied on the kindness of strangers. It's a very touching line. It comes from after Brando's character rapes Lays Blanche in a drunken rage. It's a terrifying scene. And after that, Blanche goes off her rocker. Slowly, she becomes totally disassociated from reality. They phone up the doctor who says now she has to be committed to a home. I played the doctor, and it was a one line role. She says to me, who are you? And I say, I have come to take care of you. And I offer her my arm like a typical Southern gentleman. She puts her hand on my arm and says, I've always relied on the kindness of strangers. This was in the 70s, and the play ran for 50 shows all around India. Everybody wanted to see Sabira Merchant in a streetcar named Desire. Sabira was, of course, very young and very beautiful, but as soon as she appeared on stage, you could see she had one of those things only great actresses had. Not only good actresses, but great actresses. A touch of vulnerability. You felt that this character could get hurt, and the audience's heart goes out to her. Meryl Streep has this quality, and I would compare Sabira to her. In every play she has done with me, she has that quality. The second thing about Sabira is that she's very disciplined. She was very young when she joined the theatre, and young actors think theatre is fun. They come to rehearsals to fool around with the cast sometimes, but Sabira would sit in a corner and study her lines. She is no doubt my favorite actor, not just actress. She has this ability to become the role, not just play it. And she likes a challenge. We're doing a play together right now in which she plays Julius Caesar. And never did she think she could not play Caesar. Most actresses would say, Caesar, how can I play Caesar? Sabira will just say, wow, I'd like to try that. As a friend, you will rarely meet a character like Sabira. She's a warm and helpful person and a gracious, smiling host. Her charm is persuasive. Thank you.
That is
Thank you
beautiful.
so much. Thank you. It's so beautiful. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much, Ryle. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Well, we do have time for a few questions that had come in, and we would request Sabira ma'am to just tell us what she feels about these questions. There's Mr. Jaideep Singh from Gurugram. He asks, Sabira Merchant has always seen to be very calm and composed. What is the source of this magic?
Really, the source of my calmness is it's inside you, and it's a great dependence on my maker. I know that he's always with me and behind me. I read out something to you which I have every morning on my table, and as I go to have my shower, I read this little piece with me, and it just makes me feel so warm and comforted, and I remain calm throughout the day, hopefully because of that. It says, Lord, help me to remember that nothing is going to happen to me today that you and I together cannot handle.
Great,
So that's what really keeps me calm, cool, and going and collected throughout the day.
of course. Well, we have Mr. Sunil Poddar. He's from Bangalore. He himself has written a motivational book called You Are Unique. He wishes to learn from you in the near future. But today he asks that if there's something that he could start from doing right from today to reach a full life, what should it be?
It should be using everything that you have within you. Should be coming out. If you have talent, use the talent. If you have a sense of business, use the sense of business. If you want to go to give parties, you give parties. You do something which you are committed to, which you believe in. If you want to lead a full life, you lead through commitment. And that's the one word that I would tell Sunil Podar. Sunil, that's for you right from Bangalore. Thank you for that question. I hope it answers you.
Right. We have Sinera Crasto. She's from the UK, and she wants to know that what is that one thing that have always kept you thriving beyond boundaries?
I think it's I think it's awareness of your inherent strengths. If you know what your strengths are, you can depend upon them and use them and not let anything get you down. So that is what takes me beyond boundaries and beliefs.
Right. Okay. We also have a question from France. This is Aishwarya Bourguignon. She says, "Ma'am, what are the three qualities that are inherently Indian that could contribute to a better art of living?"
Well, this sounds like a Miss India question, you know. Indian traits are inherently, of course, are in us. We are all born with these traits. But I think the three qualities that I would lay importance to is family, because we're also family minded. Religion, we are religious as a race. We believe in a God, and hospitality. I think we're very hospitable people, Indians. We welcome people in our homes, and we go out and make ourselves welcome to them and make them welcome in our homes. So I think those are the three inherent Indian qualities that I would quote. And I would also like to ask to the audience right here if you can, if you have any questions.
Well, we do have a question, ma'am. What made you write your book?
Oh, really? No. I'll go back to a few years ago. I'd gone to JICO, and JICO had shown an interest, which they always had a long time ago, to publish a book on the manual that I write. Now, the manual that I write and I wrote is about speech and diction and how to pronounce words properly. But I felt that that would be too dry a presentation. So I spoke to them and said, why don't you write about my experiences and about my life, which I think would be far more interesting. And this was many, many years ago. They believed in the story, and it was Jaco that really gave me the strength to go on. And of course, Mitali Parekh, whom they assigned to do my book, she was so wonderful that without her, of course, I couldn't have gotten anywhere. And I really thank her again from the bottom of my heart and soul. Thank you, Mitali. Thank you.
Okay. I think we have that many questions. So thank you very much, ma'am, for being so kind.
My
And I'm
pleasure.
sure the other questions that the audience have, they can read your book and
Yes.
they'll get all the answers. Sabira Merchant's book, my dear friends, The Full Life, is available at your nearest Crosswords bookstore and can also be ordered from www.crossword.in. Within a month's time, it will also be available on major international portals on a print to order basis. Now it's time that we wrap up the session. Your presence has made this event a great success. So, once again, thank you everyone for being here. This is your host, Sid, signing off for the evening, and I wish all of you a very good night ahead. Au revoir and Shabak Khair.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you very much.